probably heard me say, like, remember but don't dwell. And if you dwell in the past all the time, and that's what you focus on, instead of becoming an anchor that you can hold to for strength, it becomes an anchor that holds you back. There are absolutely things in life that are beyond our control. And the question that I got asked was, and I was in New York City, and a woman stood up and said, my daughter has terminal cancer. How do I take ownership of that? How is that my fault? And, you know, what I said to her was, you know, you can't take ownership of that. The thing that you can take ownership of is how you respond to it. And so there are absolutely things in your life that are, we can always take ownership of a lot more than we think we can. And that's a huge step when you say, yeah, you know what? The reason I'm in a bad relationship right now is my fault. The reason my health isn't doing so well right now is my fault. The reason that this business plan fell apart is my fault. It's not Leif's fault. It's not my wife's fault for fattening me up with a bunch of freaking crappy food that she keeps in the house. That's not my wife's fault. It's my damn fault. But there are absolutely things where it's like, oh, you know what? There's no control over that. And so how do we take ownership of those things? We take ownership of how we respond. And that's what you have to do. Like in this case that Cody's talking about, okay, how are you going to respond? Maybe you respond, what can you do to help other people? What can you do to carry on with your life? How do you make sure you get the help that you need to overcome what you went through? Like that's the best that you can do to take ownership in those scenarios.
You know, people talk about resiliency, and that's a kind of a buzzword that people want to talk about. And how do you create resiliency? And obviously, look, we want to be resilient people. We want resilient people on our team. We want families that are resilient. And there's a massive power in extreme ownership to create that, of even the things that are outside of your control, to just taking ownership of how you respond, and to look back to talk about things that went wrong and pass those lessons on to other people, and share tough times that you went through with others so you can actually help them. There's a massive power in that. And when you see people that are doing that, those people are taking something terrible and using it for good. And they're doing a lot better. They're doing a lot better in life than the people that are dwelling on it and can't get past it. And they're in a hopeless situation that's out of their control. They have no control over it. Rather than someone, when you start to take ownership, just the situation you just mentioned, right? If you start to take ownership of that, hey, I can actually get these problems solved, so that I can open up opportunities and get the jobs that I'm seeking, and live in a place that works for me and my family, and all those things. It's just such a powerful thing, and it's total game changer.
People get sick, people get cancer, people get horrible diseases, crime happens, violent crime happens. Like there's all those things that can happen to you that are, they're not your fault, and you can't take ownership of something you had no control over, clearly. But so what good is extreme ownership? Well, I can take ownership of how I respond to it. And that is absolutely critical. And you see this a lot from combat veterans. You see combat veterans, it's like, well, I came home and I didn't get the support that I needed. And I didn't get the job that I wanted because they didn't accept the resume that I had because it was military and they didn't understand it. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it's their fault that they didn't accept the job. I was just talking about this with Mama Lee. A friend of mine is going through a very hard time right now. But when I talk to him, and he's having real significant issues, but part of those issues are, I couldn't get the job I wanted. They wouldn't hire me. I got kicked out of this place. I got kicked out of my apartment. And there's a common denominator in all these things, and it's him. And he has not said, hey, maybe the reason I got kicked out of my apartment was because of my behavior. Maybe the reason I didn't get hired for this job is because of the way I interviewed. And instead of saying, hey, Jocko, I had a problem getting this job and I didn't get it. Can you do some mock interviews with me? Instead, it was just like, they're not hiring me because they don't like me because I'm a veteran and they don't like veterans. It's like, well, are you crazy? America loves veterans. So, yeah, that really is the beginning of the solution. But yes, there certainly are things, as Cody pointed out, that person you don't have control over, but you do your best to take ownership of how you respond to it. Same thing when you lose your friends, you know. You lose friends, it's like terrible. And you probably heard me say, like, remember but don't dwell. And if you dwell in the past all the time about the friends that you lost, and that's what you do, and that's what you focus on, that is going to become, instead of becoming an anchor that you can hold to for strength, it becomes an anchor that holds you back. And that's just going to be terrible.